Hey everyone, it's Mary DeMuth from booklaunchmentor.com, and I am going to be talking to you today about writing and the writing career and just kind of some of the pitfalls that I've enjoyed and walked through as a writer, and a little bit about my own story. You can find more of that here in this little book, and it's going to look backwards to you, but it's 11 Secrets of Getting Published, and that's on Amazon if you're interested. It's basically everything I know about getting published in one book. So anyway, I'm just going to relax a little bit and talk about how to get published and a little bit about my journey. So my journey is, it began in the early 90s after I gave birth to my daughter Sophie. And there's something that happened with the placenta in that after I birthed her, I just felt like I needed to birth a book. And so what I did was I worked for over a decade working on becoming a proficient and a good writer. I was an English major in college, and so I had foundations of writing from that, and also just from all the papers that I wrote and all of that. But I didn't really know how to communicate with an audience. When I wrote some of my first pieces, I was really into words and big, huge, like fluffy, flowery words. And I thought that to be a good writer, I had to create or use all those words. Now I make up my own words, and editors, I drive them crazy. But at the time I was like, let's use the word phantasmagorical because that's really cool and people think I'm really smart. I didn't realize that writing is actually about communicating a message and, communicating it well as if you're sitting across a table from someone. Now, when I first started writing, I figured that I would always just be a novelist. I was writing short stories, and I began to write a novel in about the year 2000 when my youngest daughter started going to preschool. And that was kind of the impetus of how I did get published. I ended up finishing that novel and shopped it around at a major writers conference, and that's where I met my agent. He did not place that novel, and it never did get traditionally published. I ended up just publishing it myself, and it's called The Quarryman's Wife, and it's my only historical fiction, unless you consider like 1970s historical fiction. But this was set during the Great Depression, and it's based on the life of my great-grandmother. Anyway, so The Quarryman's Wife never went anywhere, and my agent at the time said that I really needed to write parenting books, and I thought that he was absolutely off his rocker because I just felt really insecure as a parent. I didn't know how to parent. I constantly felt like I was on my knees just praying and asking God for help about it because I just did not know what I was doing. And eventually he wore me down, and I thought I would only be a fiction writer. I thought I'd only write novels. And so when he convinced me to do it, I had to write my first proposal, and thankfully I had a friend named Leslie Wilson who is now working with me at Book Launch Mentor, and she had a proposal and she lent it to me, and she was so sweet to let me borrow it so I could look and see what that looked like. So I created a proposal, and now there's a template for that on booklaunchmentor.com. If you really want to learn how to write one, this will show you everything you need to know, including a template and everything like that. So anyway, she helped me with that. It was great help, and that sold a book actually to a publishing house. And then like a few weeks later, the agent called and he said, hey, I have this other thing. This publisher is interested in, they need a devotional, and this ministry wants somebody to write it. So could you please write a proposal? And I had done it once. And so I said, sure, when do you need it? And this was a Friday. And he said, well, I need it on Monday. Well, a proposal is like 30 pages long with 3 sample chapters and outlines and all that kind of stuff. But I learned early on in my writing career that if you ever were going to go anywhere as a writer, you had to say yes all the time in the beginning. I've learned now to say no a lot more, but in the beginning I had to say yes, 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 I'll write a proposal in 3 days, no problem. And so that was the beginning of my writing career in terms of being published as a book author. By that time I'd already had a column. I was writing in newspapers and magazines and online publications, but this was my first book contract. So a couple parenting books went on, and I still had these ideas that I really needed. I'm a storyteller. I really needed to publish my fiction, and eventually that happened, and I'm so grateful. I got to write 7 novels under my name, and I have one more that I just wrote that I'm shopping to an agent right now and hoping to get that one picked up as well. But anyway, a couple of things I wanted to share with you today is that I want to encourage you to be generous in your writing career. When I first was trying to figure out like how to do all this, and I've told this story before, but I took an author out to lunch and I asked her for the secret, and she would not tell me. She treated it like getting published was like some sort of trade secret, and if she told me the secret, the whole world would implode or something. And that became the impetus for me to learn how to get published and then to teach others. So when I learned how to write my first query letter in like 2000, I had no idea how to write one, and my friend who's a writing guru who critiqued it showed me that I really did not know what I was doing. But once I learned how and I mastered it, then I started to train other writers on how to write a query letter, and that was just through my local writers group, which is Rockwall Christian Writers Group here in Texas. And I learned the power of just imparting what little you knew, because I literally knew nothing. So that's kind of been my modus operandi for my whole career. I didn't know about Facebook. I didn't know about Twitter. I didn't know about any of these platforms. But I just chose one and mastered it and then taught it. And when you teach it, you learn it really, really well. And so I would love to say that since 2005, since I've been published, everything's been Publishing Nirvana. I've had like 31-ish books published. Some of those are self-published. Most of them are traditionally published with publishing houses around the United States. And so it has not been simple or easy. My first couple books I had to write in France when I was also a full-time church planter and worship leader, and loving my kids and helping them with French homework, which made my brain explode. And so I had an extremely full-time job, plus I was writing books. And I basically have been writing about 2 to 3 books a year for a decade. And how I've learned how to do that is I've exercised my writer muscle. I have done my 10,000 hours, as Malcolm Gladwell talks about. I have become proficient, and the more I write, the faster I get, and the better I get at understanding ideas and learning how to communicate them well with other people. And so I guess my encouragement to you is just practice, practice, practice. If you're afraid to write, but you know you've been called to write, you just simply need to write. And when you write, remember that you have an audience. And so some people, it helps a lot to just stick a picture of someone that represents your audience on your monitor. Because as you look at that picture every day and you're sitting down to write, and I'm sitting at my desk right now, this is where I write. As you're sitting down, you need to write for that audience. And even if you're a novelist, you need to write for that person who wants to grab your novel and be lost in a story. Who is he? Who is she? How old is she? What does she look like? What does he need? What are his felt needs? Who are you writing for? Knowing your audience is probably one of the best things that you can do to be a successfully published author. The more you know them and the more you deliver to them what they actually need, the more they're going to buy your books, and then publishers are going to want to keep publishing you because people are buying your books. The other thing to remember, as I've learned on this journey, and I just mentioned it earlier, is this marketing piece, and it takes just as long as writing a book. And please remember that, because you cannot just be an author these days. You have to have a marketing hat, and you can learn it. And that's why I started booklaunchmentor.com, because I knew zero and now I know a lot. And I would love to help you if you need to launch a book. And hopefully soon I'll be starting creating these book launch mentoring programs, which is probably going to be like 3 weeks long. And I'll have a couple of them during the year. And I just need to get past the Restory Conference, which is September 17th. And then I will concentrate on these mentor groups and mentoring people toward understanding their platform and understanding social media and delivering their book well to an audience and finding their audience and their tribe. That's an aside. Here's what I wanted to say to conclude our little time together on Facebook Live is this. And I was praying about this today, and this is truly what I wanted to say to kind of wind this up. And that is, be very cautious of chasing after gurus who tell you what you have to do all the time. And that includes me. If I say, oh, you need to do this or you have to do that, then I would still take it to the Lord and really respond to him. If you're a Christ follower, this will make more sense to you, but take it to him first. And remember that he has the ability to make a roadway in the wilderness, and he can make streams in the desert. And that's right out of Isaiah 43:18-20, where I fear that a lot of my writing career, parts of my writing career, have been me chasing after gurus and doing all the things and being a good little author and doing everything correctly, and it just never seems to work right, or it crashes and burns, or it doesn't fulfill the need that I had to have this many sales or whatever. It just doesn't turn out. But in an instant, God can change all of that. And I think that's where we need to lay our writing careers down and let him be the agent of our careers. Let him be the orchestrator of our careers. Because when he's at the helm, really cool things happen. I just had something today happen where I found out that there's someone flying in from New Zealand for the Restory conference, which is so surprising and so humbling and so cool. And I had nothing to do with that. And that is God providing water in the wilderness. That is, you need to leave, as a writer, you need to leave room, as a Christian writer, you need to leave room for the Lord to do miraculous things. And don't be so fretty and scared and freaked out about all the things you have to do and all the things you're supposed to do. But choose today to get on your knees and to surrender your career to the Lord. And his will might be that you don't sell 1 million books. It might be that you don't sell 5,000 books. It might be that you only sell 4 books. And that's okay, but he might have something for you that you did not expect. For me, that's been, he has taken every single book that I've written, every one, without a doubt, every single book that I've written, he has used to heal me. And so if I sell 0 books, this has been a worthwhile journey because I have been healed by the Lord through the process of writing. And I've shared about that before. Alma, thanks for joining us today. And I love that you said that. When he's at the helm, really cool things happen. It's so true. And maybe I said that and you're requoting me, but it's so true. When we relinquish the control and we stop being control freaks about our writing career, and we can gain so much more joy and peace, and we leave the circumstances and what's going to happen up to him. There's just so much more peace. So that's my encouragement to you today. This is Mary DeMuth at booklaunchmentor.com. Check it out. There's a free ebook there about 20 things you need to know to thrive and survive and thrive in your writing career. It's free. You can just have it. And I hope you guys have an amazing day.